How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the second live stream in the kanji series. Boom.
はい、みんなこんにちは。ここか。
So hey, how's everyone going? This is a live stream, so let's go ahead and say hello to everyone who is here. Today's video is quite a bit shorter than last week's, but thanks for being here, everyone. Sakeboya, hi, Vibrat konbanwa,
Hi,
Shuriken, hi, how's it going? Senor Serena, hello, how's it going? Ikasumi Ninjas gaming channel. I found you through the Genki or particle video. All right, sick. How's it going? Like the name. No doubt I'll have to rewatch that a couple times to really get it memorized. Yeah, I created so for example, Michael, welcome to the stream. I created this video, this Write Kanji video, and the next video, the Radicals video, mostly as like a reference for people. So they can sort of go back and forth and the camera's over here. So they can go recheck it, you know? It's more of a reference than really memorize this in one go. So hopefully you'll get some use out of it. Nemitz the fish. Dude, yesterday I saw a tiny worm crawling on the ground and my brain said, "Oh, look, it's Ichi," because I saw the video on your website the other day. Worms are officially the #1 kanji forever for everyone. That's awesome. Thanks for checking out the website then. You must be on the website because that video's only on there. I just finished lesson 2, the edit, yesterday, and I rendered that over here this morning. So that will be live on the website within like an hour of this stream finishing. I'll be putting that live on the website. So we've already filmed up to lesson 7. So that's filmed. Quick announcement. Next week, likely this video, the premiere and the live stream, will be one day later than normal. So it'll be today for us, it's Thursday morning. So for many of you, it's probably Wednesday evening. Next week, it's going to be Friday morning for us, so Thursday evening for many of you, because we're going to be in the States for a little while. So we're going to be arriving like now-ish. So it's not going to be possible to do the live stream. So just keep in mind, next week will be a day later. I've been preparing for the N2 like hell this past week. Road to December, guy you asked. Ooh, good luck. It's coming fast, eh? Yuki had a question for you guys, by the way. Minna genki kana? Alright, we're going to have the overhead stuff going today as well. We'll probably write some extra examples of the kanji that were in the video today that you guys saw Yuki writing. And of course, for any super chats, she'll be writing people's names. If she already wrote your name last week, it might be different this week, but it is what it is, eh? Hi. Hi. Let's see what else. Will kanji be harder as a lefty? No.
そんなことないと思うよ。
Yuki says she doesn't think so. She doesn't think so. It's probably not much harder. I mean, I guess, yeah, no, it shouldn't be any harder, to be honest. There's lots of left-handed Japanese people.
縦なんかバーティコはどっちでも多分いいんだけど、このホリゾンタルに行くとき、このペンがさ、
そうだね。はいはいはい。So it's fine for vertical lines, but as a left-handed person going left to right, like west to east, as we said in this video, it's a little bit easier as a right-hander because you pull the pen, but as a left-hand writer, you might poke into the paper, I guess. But I imagine it's the same with any language. I'm not sure. I'm not left-handed, so you'd have to let me know on that one. Is it weird that I never noticed you had a beard until seeing the illustration on the dry erase board? Really? Yeah, it's pretty my hair, like I was white blonde as a child. So yeah, so since I was white blonde, let's see, you get a little focus on there. My facial hair is still quite light. Like my eyebrows, it looks like I don't have eyebrows. You'll probably never be able to forget that now. It looks like nothing there. There's hair here. It's just white blonde. It's the same color as it was when I was a child, so it looks like I have no eyebrows at all, which it is what it is. Why cardinal directions? Is this how it's taught? I took the cardinal directions from remembering the kanji. It could just be left to right and top to bottom. You could easily say that. I learned it as west to east and north to south, and for some reason I found that easier. I don't know why. It might be a little bit confusing for some people, and if so, I am sorry. Thank you, Dylan. Welcome. I have to position the paper differently, but I don't write with my hand over the lettering like most lefties. I see. You should be fine. Hi, Andy and Yuki. I've already learned around 350 kanji or so using WaniKani, but I haven't been learning how to write them. Any advice for this? Is it too late to transition to writing and reading? No, you'll be fine. You can always pick it up later. Yeah.
そうですね。私も still.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind here, for those of you who are interested in writing, is, well, two things. Japanese people, many Japanese people nowadays have forgotten how to write most kanji because they don't have to write it every day.
Because of a high-tech device there.
You can just look it up. So that's, that is how it is. But the reason I'm recommending writing, the reason I think it's important to write, is not necessarily because you're going to be writing a lot. Now, I do have to write sometimes here living in Japan. There's still lots of forms you have to handwrite. But I think it's helpful for remembering. I think writing it down once or twice on your hand when you're learning it helps you remember it better. So that's why I think it's helpful. And I also think knowing the stroke order can help you differentiate certain kanji better. But that's me. If you haven't learned writing yet and you don't feel like you want to, that's fine. If you're having no issues. If you're having troubles memorizing sometimes, it might be helpful. Thank you so much, Serena. Yuki, can you just transplant your kanji knowledge into my brain? Hi, Serena. Yuki's...
very hard thing じゃないそれ
That would be very hard.
だよ無理だよそんなのだからこのオペレーションした方がいいこれ
brain transplant? That would be kind of dangerous. But Yuki's gonna write your name, Serena. I think we might have done your name last week. I can't remember, but it might be a little bit different this week.
そうかセレナ
セニョル・セレナ。
でもセニョルはさ名前なのかな
セニョルは Mr. セレナ
でしょ
ってことだからセレナだけで
セレナだよね
お願いします。
でもトランスプラントできないけどいいかな
Can't transplant, but still can get your name going. I feel like I'm stuck in a point in Japanese. That can happen. Andy, I've been using kanji on App Store. Kanji exclamation point in App Store. It's an SRS app for kanji. Nice. I haven't quite started to write them yet. I just need to pick a series of vocabulary to start. Fair enough. Mandarin Chinese Simplified. Would you suggest learning how to write more kanji? I haven't wrote much since I started learning again back in July. So I think my answer just a moment ago probably was after you wrote that and should have answered that question. Like it's totally up to you. I find it helps with memorizing, personally.
ちょっとルックアップ用のiPhone 撮る。
Yuki has to go grab her phone, so I'll pop myself on screen. Yeah, so there's that. I have a drawing tablet for my computer, so I practice writing on the Kanji Study app for Android, which I run through BlueStacks emulator. Yeah, that tablets can be really helpful. I liked using my Nintendo DS. You can see it in the background of this screen, like over there, when I was first writing more. There's a couple good games on there, but I found that just the slowness of the system got tedious, and in the end, like writing on paper, pulling out my notebook and writing on paper when I was doing my Anki reviews was way faster. So I ended up just doing that in the end. And that's what sort of led me to making the Anki deck that's on the website now. Like I know some advanced stuff, but still feel like I'm missing some beginner stuff. That can happen a lot. That happened to me when I was first studying Japanese because I just picked up a dictionary of basic Japanese grammar and I just went through it from the beginning and was making example sentences and going through them with a teacher. That's how I started. But what I found is I wasn't able to differentiate between like what was more common and what wasn't. So I was using like, just like you, I couldn't do some very basic things, but I could say some really advanced things. So it was kind of weird. Writing kana down definitely helped me memorize them, even if I don't fully remember how to write them, since I don't do it on a daily basis. Yeah. I didn't do so much writing with hiragana, but with katakana I struggled. So if I just wrote them a bunch, and that actually helped me memorize them fine. So you did it already. My name is Carl. Karuru no namae de yatte ta nda yo ne. Hai, senchu. But she's gonna do Serena now as well. So no worries. I realized I was just scrolled up really far, so sorry if I missed a few comments. I watched the video on the website already. Could you explain why you touch down your brush in the video at the end of every character?
それはね、それはライティングチップスで言った方がいいんですよね。
いいよ。
ジャパニーズカリグラフィーってそのブラシになんか入りと止めっていうのがあって。
So in calligraphy, there's rules. So how you start, how you put your brush down, and how you stop, and probably how you pick up your brush as well. It's like a meditative act almost, like a tea ceremony. Calligraphy too is also like that. It's got very specific rules that are supposed to make the writing itself beautiful, and that's one of those rules.
そう。だから一回入ってその最初のところはなんか三角にね、ごめんねセレナまだできてないんですけど、この例えばこう1を書くじゃないですか、ここがねこういう風な形に止まらないといけないの。
Right. So this is how you start the kanji, but to get this design, hold on, to get this design so that it looks like this sort of pop and then this arrow at the end, to get that look you have to enter the kanji at a certain way and leave it at a certain way.
そうだからここで1回筆が入って止まって、
the brush goes down and stops.
でこういう風に
and you go across straight, sort of up a little.
で最後はそのまま止まれないからこういう風に1回もう止めなきゃいけない、ね。
So you can't just stop like that and come off. You have to I guess you push it down a little bit. ちょっと押すって感じ？そうここで1回ここのねブラシがこのパリパリパリってなるのがダメなのね。マナー的に。 I see.
そうだからここが綺麗な丸になるようにこういう風にしないと。
So that it becomes a nice round circle, you have to you push down a little bit before you lift up. Because it can't be swiping off to the left on certain strokes. Certain strokes can be swipey like that, but it depends on the type of stroke. So for calligraphy, every single one of those strokes is very methodical.
そうなんですよ。
はい。ありがとうございます。
はい。
じゃあ let you work on Serena.
ね。ちょっとセレナの続きやるわ。
I kind of wish the N5 Tango book used a bit more kanji for some things near the beginning, but I'm not sure if it's because the words are more commonly written in kana or if it's just the beginner book, says Stoic Gaming. So a big reason for that, actually. I remember Phil, one of the mods in the Discord, he struggled with that because he knew a lot of kanji, like a lot. But when he took the N4, I believe, there's a lot less kanji than what he knew. So N5 and N4, they'll only use kanji that are the N5 and N4 kanji, for example, if you're on the N4. But the words use other kanji, right? More advanced kanji. So they for the vocabulary, they only use the kanji you're supposed to know, which means some words will have extra hiragana despite actually having kanji. So it can be a little difficult to read those. Thank you so much. N meets the fish. N meets the fish. N meets the fish. Can't read it, but can you write my daughter's name? She would be super psyched to see you guys shout her out. Her name is Olive. Is it katakana or kanji? So Yuki is writing everybody's names in kanji. Officially, for example, if Olive came to, am I pronouncing it right, by the way, before I have her write it, Olive? If you were to come to Japan and get your name officially, it would be in katakana. So Yuki will go ahead and write it in katakana and kanji. So first, let's show you Serena's name.
はい。
はい、there's
セレナ出来上がりました。
お願いします。
はい、これは清い。
清い、that is pure.
そうという字で、綺麗なとかクリーンとかそういう意味があります。で、これがなんか涼しいその綺麗なそのジュエリーみたいな意味があって、
cool, beautiful jewelry.
そうそう。で、これが菜の花の菜っていう字ですね。
Okay, it's the nanohana. I'm not going to say the name of the flower. Canola flower, yes, is the name of that one.
まあ草花の花とかっていう意味があります。
はい。That's Serena. Thank you so much.
ちょっと可愛すぎ。男の子だよね。
No, but we did Carl last week, so we did Serena this week. So we're going to write Olive next. And meets the fish. Fish's daughter. Thank you so much. And thank you, Olive. Yeah, go ahead. You're good to go.
All
right, so we'll pop that up. Thank you so much. All right, yeah, we're going to work on Olive's names now. Oribe, ne? I'm reviewing kanji as I'm watching this. Your voice is really soothing. Oh, I think it's the mic more than my voice. I think the mic makes me sound better than I actually do. Come to Japan. How's it going? Thanks for stopping by.
ありがとうございます。
はい、そういえば
前回私のマイクがなんかノイズが入るという話だったんですけど、今日は大丈夫なんでしょうか？
When Yuki laughs Dan said that it sounded kind of weird, but I don't know if I can fix that right now. So if I turn this off, noise suppression, low C, we could. I need to work on that next time because we're on the same mic. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Let me know if it sounds kind of rough. Let me know if Yuki sounds weird, just because I don't know how to deal with that. I'm not that great at audio. What considerations I might need to think about when learning Japanese kanji as a former learner of Chinese traditional characters? Note, my character knowledge is pretty basic, honestly. That's not something I know much about. Sounds good for now, says Dan. Sweet. Yeah, because I never learned Chinese, so I don't know the struggles you're going to run into. There's some stroke orders that are different, obviously, but it's not a huge issue, to be honest. In my opinion, if you it's just a matter of some kanji, I guess, will look a little bit different depending on their stroke order from Chinese to Japanese. But for the most part, nobody's gonna notice, right? So that's not a huge issue. Obviously, the readings are going to be weird, but you'll get over that just by learning it the way I suggested in the original video of learning vocabulary to learn the readings for kanji instead of trusting in your Chinese reading knowledge. Obviously, knowing Chinese already is going to help you pass tests way easier because you'll be way better at guessing what things mean and how to read them. But I would still just go about it the exact same way as I suggested in the original video. Do you get your name written in Japanese if you super chat? Yes, that is exactly what happens. We write them in kanji and in katakana. So Yuki's already got the katakana down. She's working on the last character for Olive's name. 500 kanji, that's insane. I know about 400 to 500 kanji. That's great. I only know 10. It's a start. Wow, over 80 on stream, says Dan. 85 people. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Appreciate that. I know about it as I'm studying both. Hisashiburi, live fast, shred faster. Yes. Skateboarder? Go crush the like button, says Come to Japan, Dan. Whoa, the hearts are flying up on that. What is that thing? You see that? If you see in chat, like the hearts are flying up, you can press different things. That's like a new thing. Those didn't exist back when we were streaming the Genki stuff. But anyway, before we jump into the video, we're going to break down the video a little bit more together in a minute. We're going to get Olive's name here, and I'll read a few more comments. I used to think kanji was impossible to learn, but to be honest, lately 2,000 kanji seems more and more possible every day. Yeah, it's just a little chipping away at it a little bit every day, and you can totally do it. 2,000, it's a lot. It's a real lot. But if you do like 5 a day, you'll get there. 20 a day, it's 100 days. I think that's math is right? Where does the kanji come from for foreign names? So, Minami-san, technically, for foreign names, you don't use kanji, technically, right? For example, if you were to make a hanko, an official stamp in Japan with kanji, which a teacher that I worked with before did for me, she made a really cool name. I talked about this last week, I think. You're not able to register that as an official stamp at City Hall. You have to use your name in katakana for an official stamp. And that's because there's a lot of different rules for kanji that can be used in names, and a lot of times we don't follow that when we make our names. So, but you can still do it. And the way you do that is by taking readings from certain kanji and ones that are commonly used in names and just combining them, like you would for a Japanese name. So, here is Olive's name. We have...
お待たせしました。
So, in katakana first, we'd have oribu. So, that's how you would say it in Japanese. Oribu. And here are the kanji.
はい。これがおが、これおね。お。ちょっとうは。
It's the extended o.
リーブです。
はい。
で、おは、チェリーブロッサムの桜のおで。
The first character is cherry blossom. The one for sakura for cherry blossom.
はい。このリっていう字はジャスミンの漢字の書いた時の花の名前のリ。
Okay, this is the D for the jasmine flower. For the flower on the jasmine, that's the kanji that's used for writing that. So we've got sakura, jasmine, and
このブっていう字は舞うとかダンスするという意味があります。
This is the one for dance or for also for like a stage for like a performance. You'll use that in that word, right?
あ、そう
Butai
そう
toka.
そう。
But yeah, for dancing or whatever.
そう。この桜とか花びらが舞うっていうなんか falling するや
Oh,
時
when flowers are falling off a tree, that
そう
sort of visual.
それもこの漢字この舞うっていう字に
So
な
that
ります。
last one can also become that. So you've got the flowers of a sakura and a jasmine flower sort of falling through in the air. And that's how these kanji would be sort of visualized for oribu. So thank you so
はい
much.
ありがとうございます。
All right. Like butai. Yes, that's right, Joshu. Excellent. Do you have to be able to write kanji as a foreigner? You don't have to. You don't have to. It's just really helpful. I found it helpful for when I have to do various things in Japan. If you don't live here, like I've said a couple times already, I recommend learning to write because it makes it easier to memorize things and to differentiate difficult kanji, in my opinion, right? It's up to you. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to do the writing part. All right. Hi. So, how do you recommend learning kanji for a beginner? Anki, Genki, RTK, writing, etc. So I just put a video out last week for that, and it's 18 minutes long. So if I were to go into everything right now, it would take me another 18 minutes. So I'm not going to fully answer that question right now, but short version is meanings first for like a small portion similar to RTK, and then just learn words with those kanji for the readings. That's the short version of it. 18 minutes and 2 seconds. I just started learning Japanese. I don't have much time to study super hard. I have every day since I figured to at least pick up on Japanese in my free time. You recommend that or stricter schedule? That is up to you. If you have more time, you can spend more time on it and you will get better faster. If you don't have much time, that's fine as well. Completely up to you. I just realized something.
OK あ、なるほど。ライトオンしてなかったんですね。
That's important. It looks so much better now. More of a fun question. I'm sure you've been asked before, but do you normally think dream in Japanese? Oh, Andy asked an interesting question. I don't know. Yuki は英語で夢見てる？日本語で？
たまにね。
Sometimes English?
なんかそうお友達とかが出てきた時
うん。
は、英語で喋ってる時あるんだけど、でもその友達も日本語で喋ってるからなんか
Sometimes
なんかね
you...
日本語で言ってるように聞こえるんだよね多分。
Depending on like the friend she sees in her dream, sometimes she'll be speaking in English to them, but they'll be speaking back in Japanese. It's kind of funny. I think I have both. Like I think I dream in both English and Japanese, but I'm not sure. Definitely have dreamed in Japanese before. I don't know what the average is. Any good manga for beginners with furigana? Most manga have furigana. Most like Jump, Shonen, stuff like that. Most of those have furigana, so anything will be fine in that sense. Yotsubato is the common one I recommend. Although some people don't like the topics. Dragon Ball could be fine. Like, yeah. I did a manga video a while ago, and I had some recommendations in there. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Thank you so much, James Williams. When I was in Japan, my professor selected... I can't actually read that.
ジェームスだと思います。それ
James.
James
Ooh, for me. I love it, but it is so many strokes. Your videos got me through so many assignments. Okay. I see. So the first one is magnet, right? G?
あ、
Or it's
マグネット
close.
じゃなくて
With the
Mercy
heart
の
below.
方
Mercy, okay.
Mercy の方
Right? And then Sakai.
そうそう栄えるなんか
Sakai is...
developing って感じだよね。
There's a word I'm looking for in English. It's like
あ、辞書で調べてあげる？
No, I want to remember. It's like some places doing really well.
だ
栄えるっ
から
て英語ではなんだっけ？
developing する感じだよ
Not
ね。
developing, like be prosperous. That's the word I'm looking for. Prosper. Then dream and the Su from Suzaka. Suzaka is the first town I lived in Japan, and I only know that Su as the Su for that city, but I don't actually know what the meaning of that character is.
その巣っていうのはこのなんていうのジオグラフィーの、その単純に言えばね、このなんていうの山があって川があってこのさ、 なんかちょっと平らになる、川までのちょっと平らになる地域、
I
そ
see.
の土地、その
はい
こその場所のこと巣って言うんですよ。
So the place that it
でも
describes a geographical location, like at the bottom of a mountain, and then you've got like a river and stuff, and then just below that, a place in that area is that Sioux character.
だけど調べるね、ちょっと待
あ、いや、
ってね。
それでいいよ。それで OK。
そう
なぜなら、
うん
ジェームズの新しい当て字を考えてもらわなきゃいけ
ス
ないんです
トロークが
ね。
少ないやつだよね、それ。
So we're gonna come up. Yuki's gonna come up with another one for you, James. That has less strokes.
わ
So
かりました。頑張ります、ちょっと。
while she works on that,
ジェームスね。
we're gonna go ahead into jumping. We're gonna jump into breaking down this video a little more. Yeah, magnet. Yeah, right. So the top part is for magnet, and then the stone is on the left for magnet. I always mix those two up.
私間違えちゃった。この「す」っていう字の意味は、必要とするとか、なんか人を待ってるっていう意味なんだって。
Waiting for people. Interesting. Or needing something.
私が言った「す」って違う感じ
The
だ。
the sushi said was a different one. Sorry.
ごめんな
But anyway,
さい。
what if I've already memorized the kanji? Do you still recommend writing it? That's up to you. If you ever think you'll need to write, you can. If you've already memorized all the kanji and you're fine with your reading and ability, then you don't have to. Absolutely. I'm currently almost done with Genki lesson 3, but feel like I should be doing more simultaneously than just Genki. Any advice? Well, you could work on kanji. That's one of the things that's going to take a long time. So I would definitely start doing that as soon as possible. Yeah. Having the stone in magnet is always what, like if magnet popped up and I had to try to remember to write it, I would remember that it's a stone, usually a type of metal or stone. And then it has, I love the little, the bottom parts of the right side of magnet are some of my favorite parts. The ito hen, the one that is like thread, the thread on the right, I guess. No, on the left. Doesn't matter. I really like those. So that part is always easy for me to remember, but I just see those parts and I think magnet immediately. So yeah, anyway. So let's go ahead and jump in. I don't think she does know the magnets. How do they work meme. And I don't think I do either. But all right, let's go ahead and break this down while Yuki works on James' name. I'm going to pop her off screen there so that you don't... Oh, no, I can't do that. Never mind. All right, so let's go ahead. A lot of emphasis is put on writing Japanese kanji with the correct stroke order. But with over 2,000 kanji in common use, do you really have to memorize the stroke order for every single one? Well, no. There are a few rules that can help you guess the correct stroke order for over 90% of all kanji. Let's go through the main 6. Yep. So, I know when I started learning Japanese, I thought, at the very beginning, I was thinking like memorizing how to write each and every kanji. What a waste of time. It's going to take so long. There's so many. And you get this a lot in the arguments and comments, right? Why would you waste all that time learning to write all of those different strokes for every single kanji? Is going to take you so much longer, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, that's just not the case. There's these rules, which actually cover most kanji. Unfortunately, these rules don't quite apply to the really difficult one we just showed here, utsu, this one on this lady's face. Because for this one, you start right in the middle here. You actually start here, and then you go back out here, which is really annoying. But what you end up doing is you learn the exceptions, and the rest are all follow this. Correct stroke order for over 90% of all kanji. Let's go through the main 6. Elementary school students are graded very harshly for messing up the order of a single kanji stroke. Elementary school students, they are graded very hard, and the test for Japanese natives, like the JLPT doesn't have stroke order tests at all. They don't care about that. They just ask you how you read certain kanji, and I think maybe sometimes what they mean. But for natives, they often have to tell you when each stroke is next, like what number is this stroke, or where does this stroke come in the kanji. So if they get that wrong, that's a point off. And if the kanji looks like they wrote it wrong, teachers will give them a mark off. And if they don't sweep up and they just end it straight, you get marked off on that. So The reason, premora, that it's important is because if you don't do the stroke order in the right order, it can sometimes, not all the time, not for all kanji, make them look weird. And in handwritten kanji is actually very messy. But you can tell often what kanji it is just if you know the stroke order because of the way the pen moved. But if you were to write it in a different order, it would look like a different kanji. So that's one reason, but it's not a huge like game-changing reason. Personally, you asked in what cases do I write kanji? Every time I have to like do some pamphlet forms at the bank or at the city hall, or that happens a lot. I'm starting a company, so I have to write all those documents by hand. And then every time there's tests that you might want to take that you have to write stuff on. Those are some of the main ones. But, mostly it's stuff like your name, your address, what kind of work you do, stuff like that. When you go to the doctor, you have to fill out a page or two of, your symptoms and stuff like that. So, of course, you can look that stuff up while you're when you're there. But yeah. For someone, Yuki's done with
お待たせ
with
しまし
James'
た。ジェームスが
new.
出来上がりました。ちょっとストローク少なめで考えてみたんですけ
She
ど、
tried to write your name with less
はい
strokes. Thank you so much again, James, if you're still here.
これブレイクダウンした方がいい？
はい。
はい、このジンっていう字はジという字はニンと読むんですけど、
Usually this is read
この
as ni, but ji can also be a reading of it, and it means
ビーンズこれが一番
it
近い。
means like good and benevolence and just good, being good.
で、A は長い時間、そうですね。
Eternity.
で、このムっていう字は武士の武っていう字なん
Right.
で、
This one is
ちょ
like
っと
a bushi no bu. It's a warrior, basically.
でプラスこれがすは守る、プロ
To
テク
protect.
とか
はい。
ガードっていう意味があります。ちょっと
Guard or
男の子っ
protect.
ぽすぎ。
So this is very, very masculine for sure. It's probably a good thing, but it has far fewer strokes. So maybe you can use this one, James. All right, thanks again.
はい。
Appreciate that. Someone asks,
あり
hello,
がとうご
Andy.
ざいます。
I'm learning from Refold, Tango N5, and grammar from YouTube, and I will start learning kanji from your recommendation of N5, Kanki, and 10. Should I change anything else or stick to it? You've got it, man. Keep going. You're good to go. Too large, irregular kanji. Yeah, Minami, it takes a while to get used to those. It seems silly to many people learning Japanese. Says Japanese 100. It can be important to write kanji in the correct
Here's
stroke
my
answer to your question, because handwritten kanji tends to look different depending on the... That's obviously like an exaggerated example, but that's one of the reasons. Order in which you write each stroke. There are more reasons, but that is a big one in my opinion. The other reason, of course, is that I just mentioned, like in the handwriting, it helps with reading, recognizing bad handwriting, because you can tell what order they went in and say, oh, they started here and they went up here and they did this part, so that's probably the kanji for milk or something like that. That's an example we gave in the last live stream. Right? それがありますかね？人の書き方をなんか読みづらいけど、その書き順がわかるからなんとなくこれかなって。
あ、そうそう、わかるね。
Yuki agrees that she's noticed that with bad handwriting, that if you do know the stroke order, you can sort of decipher bad handwriting. It looks like she was about to write an example.
マジ？
なんか書こうと思ってた？
今。全然大丈夫です。
あ、違うの？
もしこのあれが書く時が来たら、と思って準備してた。
Ah, okay. She was preparing for if she had to write. Okay. I thought she had an example. All right. Rule number 1.
まあ確かに口とか書いた方がいい。
Which I learned from James Haysig's classic book, Remembering the Kanji, is that stroke orders generally go west to east, north to south, and northwest to southeast. So this is actually somebody asked me, was it Jason? Asked me why I chose the nautical representation instead of just left to right, top to bottom. And I answered you a moment ago, but the real reason, and that I just remembered looking at this, is here, the northwest to southeast rule. So easily you could call west to east, left to right, and north to south you could say top to bottom. But northwest to southeast is a little bit harder to, from the top left to the top right to the bottom right. I don't know. I feel like northwest to southeast is more clear in my mind, at least, and that might not be true for some of you, but it makes more sense to me. The not nautical. What do you call this? What do you call a compass? What is the word for that? Nandakke? I can't remember. Someone said it a moment ago. Yes, doing taxes. I don't have to do much handwriting for my taxes because I have an accountant do it nowadays. But in the beginning, yeah. All right. But what does that mean? Cardinal. Well, it applies to both individual strokes and kanji as a whole. For strokes, you'll write horizontal lines west to east. Or left to right. And vertical lines north to south. Or top to bottom, order if you prefer. These rules in is important too. We generally write horizontal west to east strokes first. That word generally is very important. Generally. Most of the time, the horizontal lines come first, but not all of the time, sadly. Vertical or north to south strokes usually come next, and we follow that order for each part from the northwest corner to the south. So let's stop here quickly because I popped past this slide pretty quickly. Yuki, can you write that kanji for us?
Tsuchi?
So we got stroke 1. Stroke 2 is the north to south, and stroke 3 is the bottom line. So if we come back here, we notice we start west to east over here. Then we go north to south. And then we do the bottom line west to east and finish over here in the southeast. So we've worked from this corner to this corner, right? Okay. Southeast. Another thing someone pointed out on the website in the comments the other day was very important. You see, I'm using these charts. They're from an add-on for Anki actually that automatically adds these charts to your Anki decks. I don't know if it works anymore. I did it manually. Like I used the library of these open source charts for our deck. Anyway, where the number is the start of the stroke. So wherever the number shows up in these charts is where you start the stroke. So here you start over here, boom. Here you start where the 2 is, and here you start where the 3 is. Corner. Okay. In other words, you start writing the separate parts of the kanji. Yes, that kanji means soil. Yes, dirt or soil, exact. Part that shows up in the northwest or on the top left side of the kanji. You'll write that part west to east and north to south, starting in the northwest of the part and finishing in the southeast of the part, and continuing along with each part until you end in the southeast quadrant of the entire kanji. One thing to point out here, let me go back just a little bit, is there's not a whole lot of kanji that have like a distinct part here, a distinct part here, a distinct part here, a distinct part here. Often it's like a part here in the middle and then 2 parts down here, or 1, 2, 3 parts here, and then a big part down here. So this is a bit of an oversimplification, but yeah. Someone asked, is there a way to learn a lot of kanji relatively quickly? Excuse me. Sorry for that. I mean, beyond just, doing it every single day, a few every single day, there's not really much other than that. Anki is, yes, definitely helpful, says the other Andy. Using a spaced repetition app and then learning a few new ones every day. Excuse me.
私たちさ、Memorize 前使ってたよね。
Oh yeah, Memorize is another option. An SRS, basically, like a spaced repetition system of some kind.
そういうの
Flashcards ね。そうそうそうそう。And learning a couple new ones every day and just keeping at it, not stopping is the only way, really. Or if you're already able to understand a decent amount, reading a lot. Reading a lot is another way. If you understand enough Japanese that you can not want to rip your hair out from reading, just reading a lot will help you pick up a lot more kanji, for sure. Yuki, do you think this is a good combination for Leo?
はい、いいと思います。
Yuki says yes.
なんかいると思う、最近の日本人の子、レオっていう名前の子はそういう感じだと。
She thinks there's some Japanese people out there that probably use that actually combination for Leo. The difference between ka and chikara is that we Japanese look at the sentence and just predict which one it is. Yes, you can tell from context. Did someone ask that? Yeah, someone asked that. How am I supposed to tell the difference between ka and chikara or chikara and ka? I don't know which one is which. I think it's ka and chikara. If I looked at your sentence, it looks like one is smaller than the other, but generally you'd know from context for sure. Have you read anything from Koro Koro Comic?
ああ、コロコロコミック。コロコロコミック すぐ名前が出てこない。ドラえもんとかのやつじゃない？
Doraemon is from Korokoro Comic. I
違
never
うか
have.
な、
but-
コロスケもコロコロコミックじゃない？
If they're aimed at younger audiences, they're probably very
あ
helpful.
と、デンジャラスじいさんとか。あ、違うかな。デンジャラスじいさんってコロコン。
Dangerous Ji-san. I don't know.
ちょっと古い世代のあれラインナップですね。
That's awesome, B Brad. I'm glad to hear that.
多分違うかな。
So Yuki knows them, obviously. I haven't really used them very much, but I imagine they'd be helpful. I should probably do some reviews of that stuff eventually. Of the entire kanji. For example, the kanji for one is written west to east. If you like how easy that kanji is, please be sure to hit the like button. On this one too, please. It really does help. Thank you. The kanji for 10 illustrates both the west
I
to
think
east
じゃないでしょ。
I'm pretty
North
sure
to
it
south
helps. Rules. West to east plus horizontal first, then north to south with vertical second. Northwest to southeast is illustrated by the... All right, that was pretty easy, right? That was the number 10. We learned that, I believe, in lesson 3. Let's get Yuki to write that one as well. Ba-ba-ba-boom.
はい。
So we start there. Left
こ
to
れ
right, top to bottom. All right.
難しいんですよね、このまっすぐ。
So
でもうねもう一個さ、もうティップ言っていいの？こ
どうぞ。
のライ
Yuki
ティン
wants
グ
to say one more tip.
ごめんなさいね、何度もティップ
She
言い
said
やがって。
sorry for saying tip. I don't know why she would apologize for that.
なんかこのさ、1さ、全部さ、ただの棒じゃないじゃん。このさ、ちょっと右に上がる、なんか、
yes.
そう。
She said the number 1 is not a perfectly straight line. It sort of goes up a little
Ne.
bit. You'll notice that from this picture. The 10 looks a little bit more straight. If you look at the actual number 1, if I can find it.
でもその1のさ、そっちのやつを見ると
Here you
結
can
構
tell. It's quite... You can tell from this line, it's going up a little bit. And that's not a mistake. That's actually what it's supposed to look like.
そうそう、
はい。
なんか漢字ってその右側がちょっと上がってるのがかっこいいみたいなのがあって、
So she said there's this thing in Japanese where the right side being up in the air a little bit is considered cool looking.
そうなのでこのそしてちょっと縁起がいいって感じ、その右肩上がりはとても良い意味があ
It's
る。
a good performance.
まあそう
Has the meaning of that?
まあそうまあそう、ちょっとそのまあスピリチュアルなスーパースティション的なところがあ
Okay.
ると思うんですけど。
Spiritually, it's good.
So-
Interesting.
そうこのこのホリゾントラインはちょっと右上がりがいい
So
です。
going up a little bit. Yep. And that's true for most horizontal, like individual horizontal lines like this one in 10.
そ
So you can see it sort of goes up a little
う、
bit.
ちょっとだけね。
In generally in fonts, like in computer fonts, this looks more like a straight up, like almost sideways X, like just or a cross, where this is generally right in the middle a lot in fonts. But you'll notice in actual stroke charts and when it's written in calligraphy that the up and down line appears longer than the middle line. So that's interesting. Welcome from Okinawa. Is it cool looking? Yes, that is very important. Lamey the clown. I saw another question I wanted to answer quickly. Can I
Hi.
legally get my non-Japanese name registered in kanji? Almost definitely no, unless you renounce your Americans or your wherever you're from, your citizenship, and become Japanese. That's the only way I've seen that happen. If a person gets a Japanese passport and they legally change their name to the kanji version. But you can't just like register your name with the kanji. I'm pretty sure that doesn't. It won't fly.
そう
Sadly. All right. How do you deal with long-term motivation? Said Gustavo. That's the one I wanted to answer. The way to tell if you're actually making any progress is to like try to read something. For example, Bibrat just said the immersion stories on on our website has really charged their kanji learning. If, for example, you remember, read a story that's a little bit ahead of your level and see how much you struggle with it. Then come back to it a month later after studying a little bit every day and see if it makes any more sense. And that's doing stuff like that, or watching an episode of an anime, then coming back a month later and watching the same episode and seeing if you understand more. That's the only way to really notice your progress, because it's, you're with yourself every day. So you don't really see the little incremental movements.
Mhm.
And in the end, it's more of it's not so much. I think I left this on the screen instead of showing you guys this part of the video. It's not so much. What was I gonna say? Feeling like you're motivated all the time. It's doing it despite not feeling motivated. It's the hard part, but trying to get into a habit helps take care of that. ね。
うん。
うんうんうん。
あとはやっぱり喋ってみるじゃない？
I'll try to
ア
speak.
ニメ見るとかゲームやるとか
Play games, watch anime, try to speak. That's Yuki's tips.
あ、やばい、
Illustrated-
もうやばいよ、こ
That's
れ。
great, I think. That's great. By the kanji for 3. Start in the northwest with the horizontal first and write each line west to east, finishing in the southeast corner. We'll see this set of rules pop up throughout many of the other rules. All right, number 3. Notice how they're all going up just a little bit, ne?
そうだけど、
は
はい、すいませんね、また新たなティップここで言
New
って
tip,
もいい
next tip, new tip.
もうまだ漢字シリーズ始まったばっかりなのに。
いいよいいよ。
これ
はい
じゃあまず3を書いていきますね。これ
はい
右肩上がりでしょ。これ右上
Right.
が
Goes
った。
up a little bit on the left.
で、これちょっとだけ短いでしょ。真
A
ん
little
中
bit,
のやつ
little bit shorter in the middle,
そ
yeah.
う。だけど、この一番下は、下に
It
戻
goes
りました。
down. はい。
はい。
で、それはなぜですか？
そう
Why?
これはなんかちょっとこれが右に行ってるから、これはちょっと下に行った方がバランスが良いという考えがあります。
So in calligraphy, balance is very important, visual balance. So because these two are going up to the right, bringing a bottom stroke like this down a little bit makes it look cooler. Once again, let me point this out. This is not a part that you have to memorize. It's like going to change your learning ability. It's just little fun little things we're going to be adding that probably a native or someone who's actually studied calligraphy will know. So this is cool. It looks more balanced if you go down like this.
そ
Now when I'm writing it, let's see if I can.
う。はい。
I end up
消し消す
I end up just doing this. That's it. Oh, I naturally went down. Oh, but that one went down. I don't really, I don't write super teine. But that doesn't mean anyone would not understand what this is, right? I like to think of this as a one part and then two.
うんうんうん。
1 and 2. I think the official radical for 3, what is it again? I think it's
1か2だよね。
I think it's 1. Yeah, the official radical for 3, I believe, is 1. だよね。
地下だったかな。
The official radical for 1 is 1, and the one for 2, it's 2, and then for 3, it's 1 again, I believe. Anyway,
Okay.
moving on.
はい。
Boom. Oh, did you have anything else to add to that?
大丈夫です。
Okay. So it's important to get this one ingrained in your mind. Okay, before we jump into rule number 2, what do you do for kanji where radicals don't help create a meaning that help you memorize it? I force a meaning into there. Sometimes I'll go with a pictograph, or I just make up a story. Like I'll create a situation in my mind, like really visualize a situation where I have those radicals, and then I basically force it in there. I try to build a story that might be longer than a normal sort of single image that might go on for a little bit, and then the meaning of that situation is the meaning of the kanji, and the characters involved are those radicals. So I just make the story a little bit more complex in my head and try to visualize it more clearly. I've found very, very few situations where I can't make it work in that situation. Andy's 3 is at least a bit better than his 1. Oh yeah, my 1 was terrible last week. That's right. Someone recommended Overlord. I found I can read Overlord fine now, but when I first tried to read Overlord, I found it very, very difficult. Light novels, by the way, are not easy novels. They're just the topics are light, but the language used is often not super easy. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't read a whole lot of light novels, so I don't have a lot of recommendations for that. Okay. Rule number 2 is that boxes break the first rule. They start north to south and are only 3 strokes. This is the kanji. See you later, reading neat. We start with the vertical line on the left and go west to east and down in a single stroke. then close the box on the bottom. This kanji means mouth, but the... All right. Anything to add to that, Yuki?
大丈夫です。
大丈夫です。
もう今みんなやった2つのティップでもうすべてうまくいく。
All right, so yeah, she thinks the 2 tips she just gave should help you understand why this one's coming in a little bit. The top one goes sort of up and then back down, and then the last one curves down a little bit at the end there. The same box is also used to enclose other parts or kanji to make new kanji. When that happens, we get rule number 3. Woo! Items inside a box are drawn before you close the box. After all, how could you get them in there otherwise? Notice how... If you like my jokes, like the video. If you don't, like the video. We work northwest to southeast. For the kanji for 4, we start in the northwest with our vertical line. Then we go west to southeast with the right side of the box. Then we... So, a nice thing to point out here is that despite mouth already breaking our first rule, it also sort of doesn't. We start in the northwest and end in the southeast. But it's just so common. Like, it's so ubiquitous. And this box shows up around other kanji so frequently that it's not hard to remember. Because you're going to end up seeing it so much and writing it so much that it won't be an actual issue for you. And every time it shows up, it's going to be written this way. Draw the sexy person legs part inside of the box, west to east. Left leg first, right leg second. We then close the box, working west to east, finishing the kanji in the southeast corner. I'll give you an important bonus rule at the end of this video that talks about other types of enclosures like this. But first, there's more basic rules. When a single stroke runs vertically through the middle of a part or kanji, it's usually written last. For example, the kanji for car could be broken down into... Fun story. You'll notice right in the middle here, we've got that mouth one we just talked about, and we had to write the one inside before we close the box there. That's actually the kanji for sun. So you do the box part, then the one inside, then you close the box. One, sun, another one. And up to this point, we've followed the rule of west-east. Then we draw the box rule, inside, close it, and then west to east. And we're finishing down here in the southeast. Then we draw the vertical line. Then we need this rule. The middle. That vertical line is last. And that's true for most kanji with a vertical line that cuts through the other parts. Right. So those vertical lines that cut through parts, they come last. Chat, when does Andy normally go live? Right around now. Right after the premiere of the new video, which is usually this day at 10:30 our time, so an hour ago. Next week, it will be whatever day it is for you now. It'll be the next day because we're gonna be traveling at this time. So anyway, はい。なんかありますかね？これに車。Let's have her write 車。
あ、車？
はい。
やばい、今ちょっとオーバーロードのことしか考えてなかった。
Yuki's thinking about Overlord. I'll answer that question while she writes 車.
はい。
I don't know who my favorite character from Overlord is. I kind of like the main character. What's his name again? Momonga. So Momonga. I kind of like him. Although, what's Arubedo? Arubedo is kind of cracks me up. I don't know if I like her. She just cracks me up. I've only read the first part of the first book, and I listened to them as audiobooks when I was running a lot. Like, I think I've listened to the first 5 or 6 books, and we've watched all the anime. But yeah, okay, so なんか
この4もさっきの4も書いた方がいい？
さっきの4、はい。
この四角で四角を書くのに、この真ん中を先に書かなきゃいけないやつ、
はい。
こうですね。はい。
Very nice. Notice how those sidelines are sort of coming in a little bit?
あ、やべえ、それ言った方がいい？
いい。Yes, indeed. And the line below here on the car is a bit longer. Once again, we'll talk about all this stuff, all the stroke orders and things when we actually cover these kanji in their particular videos. But we're just sort of going through to show the rule like that comes down. Let's go ahead and one thing I forgot to mention. Can you erase this quick? I forgot to mention that we were going to do for each rule is write a few other examples. So if we go back to rule number 1 and you left to right, we had the 1, then 2. Those are left, right. Oh, that's a wonderful 2. It's because I'm stretching out like this to write them in. 1, 2, 3. Anyway.
何書くとこ隠したの
はい。いやいやいや、違う違う。なんでそんなに汚いか見せている。So what's another example of a kanji that perfectly follows the left to right rule? The left to right rule. Can we think of one?
これあ、レフト、あ、
The west to
left
east rule ね。
ちょっと待って。こっちから書くんでしょ。あ、でも、右はそうだよね。それって、
いや、右は今度
上
話す
から
ルール。
下ってこと
Yeah, but we'll worry about that later.
ちょっ
Let's
と待って。
let's go through. We're gonna pop up some examples right now in the other video. Here's some other examples. We've got what's this?
中。
Naka. Let's have Yuki draw that one. お願いします. So naka, right? It's the mouth. We wrote that. So that's following the rules for mouth. And here's a weird one, right? Let's stop here. Okay, we've written the box. Despite there's going to be something inside of it, you might wonder, right? So why do we close the box before we write the thing inside of it? Well, we're not writing a thing inside of it. We're writing the line through the box. It cuts through it. So because it cuts through it, it has to come last, right?
はい。
Phew, wow, it's usually not that long, I don't think. And then our next example is... You might have noticed that the last example seems to break this rule, but it really doesn't, because that line does not go through the part on the bottom of the kanji. We draw that line last for the part that it belongs to, or the part that it cuts through. Right. So we're going to pop that back up there for to right.
はい。
So yeah, the important part here is that the rule is not that the vertical lines that cut through things always come as the last stroke in the whole kanji. They come as the last stroke for the part that they're a part of. So here we have right. So that's the end of this part. And this part, I believe, is a brush. Brush, like a calligraphy brush. And then we write the bottom part. Like next. It's like starting over again, but for the same kanji. So that line. はい。どうぞ。
あ、うん。この突き抜けるバージョンのやつ、ここには出てないけど、書いた方がいい
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, so go ahead.
通じてない
通じてるけど、どの字なのかわかりません。She's asking if she should write the version where it goes through it.
なんか暗記レクとかこのN5 のレベルにはない感じなんですけど、例えばこの
はい。
つという字
はいはいはい。
はここが突き抜けるんですけど。
はいはいはい。For that part ね。So sometimes this is another side point. Sometimes parts are written differently depending on where they show up in a kanji. So for the last one, because there was something below it, the line stops on the bottom line. But because there's nothing below it in this kanji, the actual part is written as it goes through.
とか、もう一個この筆という字。
So this is the actual kanji for brush that goes all the way through.
これも
Right on,
こ
right
こ
on.
に何もないから。
And that's because this is the actual part. The only reason it stopped in the other one, that's actually the exception for the part, is because there's something below it. But once again, we'll go through that kind of stuff when we get to those parts in the for those actual kanji. So you don't have to worry about that right now. Japanese doesn't just only have bonus. Straight lines, though. It also has curved lines. Usually, if there's more than one curved line, we start with the ones which are written right to left. So by that, I mean starting over on the right and then towards the left, followed by left to right diagonal. And then starting on the left and going right. This sounds like it breaks the first rule, but the kanji for father illustrates perfectly why that's not the case. We start with the top part in the northwest and draw... So we've gone right to left, eh? The right to left diagonal. Then left to right. Followed by the left to right one in the east. Now, you might wonder why we don't write the left to right, then right to left. Right to left, then left to right. And that's because they're separate parts. Like the part on the top is actually 8, and the part on the bottom is like what do you call that again? Grass clippers or whatever. So you write parts individually. You finish that part, and then you move on to the next part with kanji. That's another thing I maybe should have mentioned in this kanji. You always write each part like it's a separate kanji within the kanji, unless it's enclosures. Enclosures obviously have slightly different rules. But we then go down draw right to left and left to right, ending in the southeast. Here are two other examples. Notice how we always end up protecting rule number 1, beginning in the northwest and ending in the southeast? Ooh, can we have you write tree, Yuki, since we stopped in the middle? So, okay. I don't think I talk about this. I talk about this in the actual lesson, but here we've drawn what looks like a 10, right? We've got the 1, then the line through the top. And you remember that lines are drawn last when they cut through parts, and they don't cut through... The next parts come after this. So can you draw the next parts? Boom. So you might think, why don't you draw this, 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 and then the line that cuts through them first? Well, that's because these are drawn like attached to it. It's not actually cutting through those. So we draw the 1, then the line that cuts through that 1, and then attach the little legs based on the one that goes right to left, and left to right. You can also, of course, think of this as the 1 on the left and the 1 on the right. But like, if we take a look at father, or just, can we do the bottom part of father? Kataru, yes. This is the bottom part of father. And you'll notice that we started over here, and then we finished here. So, like for, let me just see. For tree, if we draw a tree like this, you could think of it as we do the 1 on the left and then the 1 on the right. But that doesn't apply to the father kanji because this starts over here, right? So it's better to think of diagonals as the ones that start on the right and go left, and then the one that starts on the left and goes right. And that's why that's the case, because for ones like this, neither one is completely on the left or the right. So that rule of do the one on the left and on the right wouldn't apply to parts like this. So that's why we do this rule as right to left, left to right.
まあ、あと、なんでかわかんないけどね。
はい。
その、こういうのが来たとき
うん。
は、これより後に来る。
うんうんうんうん。
必ず。
the one that goes like out
うん。こ
on
れ
the...
が書いてあるとき、
Oh, that little movement? That always
て
comes
か
last.
この右払いというやつです。
But we don't actually know, like, so the one thing we can't say there is migi harai.
うん。
We can't really say which came first, the chicken or the egg. Is it migi harai because it's last? Or is it last because it has migi harai? We don't know.
まあ、
we don't know that.
We don't know だけど。
So, but yeah. Jumping in here.
はい。
Whoop. Drawing
Hi,
west
EXE.
to east and north to south. But there's more. Let me just pause here for a second to answer. How do you feel about kanji used in names, nanori? I'm between N1 and N2 with kanji, but I'm useless when it comes to reading names. Yeah, a lot of people are. Like, a lot of Japanese people don't even know how to read other people's names. That's why on every single form you'll ever fill out, you have to also write how to read it above it in katakana. It's fun for me because when I fill out forms, I write my name in katakana, and then I have to write how to read it in katakana above it. And some places are just like, don't worry about it, you don't have to do it. But most places, they're like, yeah, you have to write it in both places. I had a fun thing the other day. We tried to buy travel insurance, and we bought it on our last trip that we took on a website here in Japan. So I had an account. So I went onto the same account and tried to buy it again. So we go into the form, and it automatically populates my name in the form because it's my account. Awesome, thank you. That's unusual for Japan to be so accommodating on a website. And then I press next, and we get a little pop-up under my name. It says, "This is not the name on your account." Excuse me? You put it there. So I tried it again. I went back out, came back in, automatically populated my name, filled out all the stuff, went to the next line, and it says, "This is not the name on your My page or on your account."
どうしてなんだろうね。
Why? So I tried to write it
な
like
んでかな。
50 different ways. I thought of everything I could think of, and it just never worked. So even one Japanese websites try to be super helpful and modern, they still manage to fail. Someone come over here and save Japanese web design, please. I know one of you've got to be better than literally every single web developer in the entire country. So please get over here as soon as possible.
不思議だよね。
本当に。Why does
Shinyo.
Why does Shinyo not follow so many reticles not follow the normal stroke order? Shinyo doesn't follow the stroke order left to right. Are you sure? Hold on. Can you write Shinyo? It's the normal one. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that follows the correct rules.
まあ多分最初にこのパーツを書かなきゃいけないからかな。
So that's a rule we'll cover in the bonus rule, I think, is that enclosures are usually finished last, depending on where they show up. Like mouth obviously comes first, but shinyo enclosures always come last. So that's like a rule you can think of. But the part itself, we start at the top left and draw the drop first, because drops are usually drawn first, and the next part, right? And then we finish over in the southeast. So the part itself follows the rule. Part itself is fine. Yeah, it's terrible. Whatever. You keep making fun of my kanji. But yes, the part inside always has to come first, ne?
So
the part inside of the enclosure.
So
Nyo always comes first. All right, let's bring back up the video. Kanji. No need to compare web design preferences in Japan like everything else is cultural. No. I have to disagree with you there. I have friends who work in web design here in Japan, and what they say is not that it's cultural, but that it's the fact that there's 70 to 80-year-olds who run the companies and they refuse to take on new standards. So they just stick with the standards from 30 years ago because they always worked. So in that sense, yes, it's cultural that they don't update. But it's not that people like that web design. That is not it. People don't prefer to have to re-enter their information every single time they go on the same website to buy the same thing. And all, people in Japan like modern web design, like and conveniences just as much as anyone else anywhere else in the world. It's just that companies in Japan are so resistant to any kind of change that they won't. So I disagree that the design preferences are culture. The design preferences are just stuck 20 to 40, 30 years ago.
ごめんね。
And if you ask most Japanese people, they will agree that, especially if they've ever used a other country's website, that they prefer.
あれこの前さおせんべい食べてる大阪のおせんべいのさ、やつなんかもうちょっと頼みたいからと思って
We were eating some senbei from Osaka, and we were like, oh, we'd like to get some more of these, and we went to the website.
ですごい
It was amazing. Jesus.
すごいおー久しぶりに見るこの四角い、その四角いカチのWindows 98とかに出てるような四角いボタンとかがついてる。
She said there were some buttons that were super like nostalgic. These square buttons from like Windows 3.1 or Windows whatever it was, the really old one. Windows 95.
のウェブサイトだったんですよ、そのお店、おせんべいのお店ね。
That's the kind of website it was.
でもさ、しょうがないよね。だってさ、大正何年とかからさやってんだから。
It's a company from hundreds of years ago. So they clearly tried to do it themselves, or they hired someone to do it 30 years ago, and then just.
逆にさ、頑張ってると思う。
Yes, I agree.
ね、200年もさファミリーさビジネスやってきて、でさ戦争もね乗り越えて。
A company that's been doing it for 200 years selling things, and they went out of the way to actually make a website. So in that sense, awesome. But it's pretty funny.
逆にでもミュージアム感だなって思って見てもらいたい。
Then it's like it feels like we're in a museum when we go on the website, and he's praising that.
もうね見れないかもしれないからね自分の国じゃ。
You might not be able to see anything like that in your own country unless you go on the way back machine. But or like 1995 web design. Yes, that's what it is. It's just
ノスタルジーエンターテインメントだよね。それもはや。
But it can be very entertaining unless you actually want to get something done.
でもね、オーダーできないのはやばいよね。
So the fact that you can't actually get the order done is a problem.
電話しないから。
You end up having to call.
ファックス。
Or fax them, yes. Yeah. All right, on we go.
やばいよね。
Are built up of many parts. Sometimes a kanji is built from multiple other kanji, or a few of the same kanji. We write each of those parts one at a time. So we start with the northwest part, if there is one, and write it following all the rules. So I have a little note here that despite me having 1, 2, 3, 4, the fact that this is written in the 1 and 3 boxes before doing this side is because this is a part. This is a radical. And it's to speak or to say something. So you write that part, which starts in number 1 first. Then the part that starts in number 2 next, right? Then we move to the east part, if there is one, or down to the next part, working west to east and north to south. And then you finish. We finish with the part in the southeast. The kanji for forest is a great example. It's just 3 tree I really
kanji
like this kanji.
combined. We draw each tree separately. So we start in the north, since there is no northwest, and we write the first line west to east, next the vertical north to south, then the curved lines, with the one written right to left first and left to right second, ending in the southeast. Do it again on the bottom left, and finish in the southeast.
So the only sort of annoying thing you might think here is that why is this short? Why does this have to be short? Like all of these two are the same, but this one, no. But that's because this is in the way.
そうなんですよ。後から来る人にね、開けとかないといけないんですよ。
You have to prepare for the person coming in later. But I love this because it's literally just a tree, and you put a couple trees together, and you get a forest. That makes sense. If only all kanji made that much sense. It wants to be special. Yes. These rules also apply to kana. Generally speaking, yes. Generally speaking, yes, I would say that. But kana don't have like parts or radicals. They're just a single thing. But can you write forest for us in normal non-calligraphy?
Non-calligraphy ね。
So. Yeah. So there's our first regular tree, just a normal old tree there.
で、この
Then this little tiny stumpy tree.
はい。
Just nope. I'm not growing past here. Gotta leave way for my brother.
ここね。
Then normal tree. You could kind of think of this as like it's hiding behind this other branch.
そう。なんかね、ここをね、クロスしちゃうと、
So.
クロスしちゃダメなんですよ。
So you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that.
ね、ここね。
That's something you can't generally do in kanji. Parts don't really cross each other. Other, like separate parts. Within a part, things may cross. But separate parts don't tend to cross each other. Ooh, that's a nice little bonus rule. Oh, here's another bonus rule. Just in case those 6 rules weren't enough for you, here's a bonus rule. Kanji sometimes have what are called enclosures, either on the top, to the side, below, or all around. Yeah. Looping back to our original rule, top and left side enclosures come first. So these ones that are, we've got this one on the top, and mouth counts in this because even though mouth has another line here, this one is considered on top or around, all the way around things. And then this one, which closes things on the left, you write these parts first before you write what's inside of them. First, bottom enclosures are written last. And bottom enclosures are written last because, well, that kind of makes sense, right? You write the things on the bottom last. And we already covered all around enclosures in Rule 3 with mouth. We'll talk more about enclosures in the next video, which is... This is the clip from the next video, which is all about radicals. Some of you have already watched it if you're a member of the website. The next video is even more of a reference video than this one, just sort of giving you some ideas of where parts show up within a kanji, just so you can sort of start getting an idea of just how a kanji is built before we get into the actual lesson. It's all about the different parts of kanji. After that, we'll be jumping right into action. How do you like our lesson cards? This is how the card for every single kanji is going to look like. We've got the kanji here with what it means. Then we've got the official radical, the parts that it's built of, and then a story to help you remember it. This is what the cards are going to be for every single kanji. I hope it's intuitive enough. I try to make the videos like that. Actually learning the kanji one at a time. If you don't want to wait, you can start learning with the first level of the official ToKini Andy Kanji flashcard deck for Anki on ToKiniAndy.com. There's already a bunch of you who are using this. Thank you so much. I hear that people are finding it helpful. If you're having trouble with it, please let us know in the comments on the website, and we'll try to fix whatever it is. We will be updating this over time and helping you update your own deck in case there's something that needs to be fixed in it. But for the most part, seems to be going well for a lot of people, so that's awesome. Thank you. We're also releasing Kanji series videos early for all the members there, so check it out if you want a head start. Oh, there's the Wa versus Ga video. Have you guys seen that one? This is one of my favorite videos that I've ever made. It also has the best retention rate of any video I've ever made. It hasn't done as good as I hoped. Maybe I need to work on the thumbnail. Favorite video ever. Thank you guys.
ありがとうございます。
That was fun.
ね難しいよね。
ね。
まあ私はそんなことをねやらずにマジで13年間ただひたすら書き続けるだけの人生だったんですけど、効率とか考えたことなかったから。
She's saying she spent 13 years just writing kanji.
13 plus more than
More than 13 years, just writing them over and over and over again and not thinking about the most efficient way to do things. And that works. Like if you have 13 years.
そうなんかねすっごい書くとパターンが見えてくる。
If you write something a million times, you start to see the patterns, she said. Yes, yes. That video saved me on the last 2 exams. Nice. I'm glad to hear it. Sick.
All
right.
そう大変でした。本当にね。
Yeah. But yeah, it does work if you have the time. It helps that you can already speak Japanese when you start. I feel like it might take you even longer than 13 years if you're starting from complete scratch and just writing it over and over again. But if you're not in any rush, it'll eventually help it sink in. Definitely not the most efficient.
そう。
But,
いくつか多分漢字をやってみるとなんかあこの漢字ここにも入ってるみたいなのが、
yes, yes.
そう分かるようになるから。
It's interesting because like let's have Yuki draw a kanji, for example. She said when you start writing a kanji over and over again, anything is fine, I guess.
本当？じゃあ例えばちょっと出てないやつとかでもいいの？
いいよ、もちろん。She's gonna write a kanji that isn't on the N5. Here we go.
例えばさっきのこの週という字こういう
Oh, the one I wrote before? Yeah.
そうそう
Oh, sorry. This is the one for week. For
こうじゃないですか。
right.
でこれってちょっと小さく書けばよかったね。こ
So she's gonna write it smaller.
っち側にねちょっといきなりヘタチになる。これって
It's better than me.
これってこれとこれとまあこれとあとそのラディコルと言われるこれですね。でもこれってさっきやった土とか口とかこれはまた違うそのラディコルになるから。でこれもさこれだけでまた違う感じなのよ。
Right, that's a different kanji on its own.
これがね、そうだからそういっぱいこういうのとかこういうのとかこういうのとかをやっていくと、あこの3つのコンビネーションだ。でプラスあこれもまたコンビネーションだみたいな。
So she said the way that they learned it in school, if you're writing it millions and millions of times, you start to recognize these patterns where, oh, this is in here and this is another kanji on its own. So, this is part of this if you combine it with this. So they start recognizing this, right? What's interesting to me hearing that, of course, is that they don't teach that. They start to recognize that on their own. All they teach is that this is the official radical. Here's the kanji that you write in the first word, shukan, and week. And just write it a million times. And then the kids start to learn on their own, recognize on their own the patterns of, oh, this is tsuchi. Ah, okay. So what we do as learners is we take that, what the kids are noticing on their own, and we teach it that way. So we break down the parts and say, okay, this has this part, this part, this part, and this part. So we can do shortcuts. So that's why rote memorization isn't necessary. Bruce Lee says, Nihon do not pass go. How's it going?
もうネイティブキッズたちねもう大変だからあはあはパターンだよこれ。
They notice patterns. Yeah. But we can just take those patterns that they notice slowly over time and jump ahead.
はい。
So, all right.
そういう感じでね。まあ簡単なやつをいっぱいやるとね、コンビネーションが見えてきます。
So. You do easy things. You start to realize the combinations.
はい。
Some people say that foreigners tend to write in a computer handwriting. Doesn't really matter. It's probably because we don't learn those rules, like Yuki was talking about earlier in this live stream, she was saying how balance is so important. So like when you're writing at 3, the first 2 strokes are a little bit up to the right, and the last one's a little bit down. So anyone who's taken like a high school calligraphy class, which is a lot of people, will know those rules and they'll write a little bit nicer. We look at the kanji 3, and we look at generally, like in our Anki decks, we just have the font for 3, right? Whatever that font is. And generally speaking, it's just going to be literally 3 straight lines. So if we do learn to write, or if we look it up on our phone and to write, we literally just write those 2 perfectly straight lines. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here's Andy writing. So this is just, I looked it up on my phone. Let's look it up on our phone quick. I'll bring up Jisho, not Jisho. So this is Japanese, right? So we're gonna do 3. I'll bring up my thumb. So there's 3. So I've looked it up here, how to write it. I'm at the doctor's and I'm like, okay, I gotta figure out how to write 3 because my 3 legs are broken. So I have to write that on my. There it is. Come on, focus, buddy. Focus, I believe in you. It won't focus for me. Is this on manual focus? That might be it. Oh, this camera's on manual focus. It could have been a lot prettier the whole time. Sorry, guys. I hope it wasn't too messy. So anyway, we've got the 3 there. So I'm just going to write it like that. 1, 2, 3, right? Or maybe I'm noticing that the middle line is shorter. So I just write it 1, 2, 3.
おー、いい感じじゃん。
So right, so that is how I'd write it just looking at this. Now I'm nervous that the kanji were all out of focus the whole stream. But anyway, so let's have Yuki write it. Yuki's going to write it. She knows the rules about how, the balance rules and all that
わ、
stuff.
すいません。いきなりプレッシャーが高くなるね。
Yeah. Well, she's already got pressure. So here's Yuki writing it. Here's her 1, 2, 3. Now take a look at mine and hers. 1, 2, 3. They're not that much different, but the lines are spaced out a little bit more. You'll notice that bottom line sort of curves down. The first 2 lines are going up a little bit. So this is things that, they learn about by writing it a million times and taking calligraphy classes. And, they have their Japanese teachers teaching them these things. Most foreigners like us, we're at the doctor's office and we look up how to write 3 people beat me up at the park, and now I'm here to get fixed, right? So we looked up how to write 3 people, and we write the person even, like even person, if we were just write 3 people. 1, let's push this up. 2, 3, 1, 2, right? Okay, if I'm copying off here, I'll just font. But let's have Yuki write that. Let's have Yuki write 3 people. Okay, we can erase everything.
まあ、端っこの方にね。
どうぞ。Okay.
ちょっとここつながっちゃった。
That's fine. Notice how that line, the final line in person, started in the middle of the kanji. And when I wrote it like this because I was just copying the font in the app. So that's what probably people are talking about when they say that non-native Japanese people's kanji look sort of computer-like, because most people who are writing look it up on their phone and they don't have the actual way it's written handwritten-wise. So that's probably why. And that's why it's probably good to learn stroke order. But it's not a huge issue. It's just one of the reasons. All right. Writing on an art app is different than physically writing it. That's also true. Fear the man who practices 1 move 1,000 times over the one who practices 1,000 moves once. Yes. Question for the room. Does Andy have a video about how to type Japanese on a smartphone? I can never find the characters I'm looking for. I do not have a video for that. It's something that has been requested a lot. Usually, like, I look it up. I just type in the word because maybe I know it. But also, a lot of phones nowadays you could just write it. So if you just write 1, 2, 3, there's 3. It popped up. But it certainly depends on the app. If a lot of phones, let me pop this up overhead. Zoom that in. A lot of phones actually have a radical or a lot of applications have search by radical. So the next video, I'm going to teach you how to do this. You can just search for the official radical. So if we pop on that one, that automatically pops up over here, all the kanji that have that radical in it. So maybe I want this one. And there's my word. So searching by radical, which we'll be covering in the next video a little bit, is one way you can work on it. If you know how to read a certain kanji, you can sort of like san nin. If I didn't know how to write nin, I could write san and then see what comes up for san. There's san nin. That popped up. So there's a little trick. Lots of different little things that you sort of pick up over time, but I do not have a video covering that. Sorry.
Hi.
I remember when D and E confused me at first. The front of the app made D separate instead of together like fonts. Yeah, D often shows up looking a lot like E if you don't know what to look for.
E?
D と E はパソコンだとあんまり違いがわからない時はあるんだよね。
E と D ね。
So,
そうですね。
but often, she just wrote it on the. Often it's not this long on computers. Often it's this, and then D is like that. You'll often see like fonts that look like that. So it's very hard to tell the difference between this and this. This and this, not so difficult. But nowadays, a lot of fonts write it like this.
そうだ
So
ね。
that it's a little bit more easy to
確かに
to
確
tell.
かに。
On my phone, on my computer, I tend to use Romaji for input, and my phone, if it's difficult, I use the dictation. That's another way. Yeah, you can say it. One thing that people often ask is, on their computer, a lot of people wonder if they should be using kanji. Here's my keyboard. Can we move this for a second?
はい。この、すいません。
As you notice, I do not have any hiragana on the keyboard. Why do you think that is? Because I have never typed with hiragana, and I don't actually know any Japanese people who have ever typed with hiragana. Everyone types with romaji on a computer. So if you ever see keyboards that have the hiragana on them, it's mostly just like ornamental. 日本人がひらがなで入力してる人知っている？
わかんない。
Have you, did you study that in school?
うん。
In
一
school,
番
yes.
最初の小学校の時
Mm.
のそのパソコン、初めてWindows が出まし
So
た
when
No.
Windows first came out and they got
ね。
their first
の時
computer at school,
はひらがなのキーボードでひらがな打ちをなんか習ったのね
so
最
they
初
studied hiragana input when she was in school. I don't think they do anymore.
だけどその後なんかローマ字打ちになりますということでなりますというかその方が一般的になる
So there was a point in time in Japan when even in school there was like they started with hiragana when Windows first came out, and then at some point in time while she was in school they were like, it's just going to become the standard to type in romaji. So from now on we do that. So nobody types in hiragana. So it's not something you really need to worry about.
だけどたまにねひらがな打ちしてるおじさんとかが
Sometimes she sees like an old dude.
いるかもしれないね。でもなんかほとんどはローマ字。
But mostly romaji. Yeah. All right.
はい。
If you can't tell the difference between E and D, it's usually the writer's fault. Yes, unless it's the font. Then it's the font's fault. But there are some fonts, especially like 10 years ago or more, that were a little bit difficult. I've had Japanese dreams, says Dan. はい。
さっきの人と入るのやつやった方がいいですか？
何？
人、漢字が、
はい
そのさ、デジタルフォントだと超似てるじゃん。この人っていう字と、この人っていう字と、入るっていう字がさ、超似てんのね。
I mean, we'll definitely cover that when we go over it in the lesson for that one. But yes, that's a big difference because you can see that this goes out over this line and this line comes out from the middle of this line.
そう。だけど多分漢字のフォントだとさっき言ったようにこれが人で、これが
So in font, computer font, yes. Yeah. That's another good example of how a Japanese person might know to write it like this, but if we looked it up on a computer, we might end up writing it like this, which is very unusual for
そう、だけ
handwriting.
どさっきみたいな書き順的にはこっちが1だよね。常にこの
そうそうそうそう
左側が1、1になるよね。
はい。まあ、the right to left
この、
diagonal.
うん。
ね。はい。What is that big noise?
雷かな
Big airplane. A lot of helicopters going over recently. Anyway, all right. I'm currently using Tofugu to learn the kana. I notice I recognize easily but struggle to recall. Is there a fix for this you recommend? Considering that may happen with kanji. It's normal, especially in the beginning. You get better at remembering things you've just learned as time goes on and you get more used to the language and more used to reading. But in the beginning, you're going to forget a lot. That's totally normal. The only way to remedy that is repetition and keep going. Using spaced repetition software for kanji is going to be extremely helpful for remedying that. But the more exposure you get to the hiragana and stuff, the more you read them, the more you write them, the more you use them, the less you'll forget them. If you don't read or write at all, you probably will forget them. And in the beginning, since you've literally just learned them, it's completely natural for you to forget them a lot. So I would just not worry about it. I find that writing like gaming fonts, like old gaming fonts, the pixelated Japanese is very, very difficult. I got used to it now, but like 4 or 5 years ago when I first played Undertale in Japanese, I struggled with that because it's no kanji. It's just hiragana. And it was digitized, it's the pixelated font. So that was hard to read. Like E and D in pixelated font.
この
That was hard.
こういうやつだよね。この
そう。
こういうやつだよね。この
So that was ha. That is hard to see in the middle of a million dots like that. Oh my god. That was hard.
そう、私たちはね、ネイティブはポケモンのさ、ゲームボーイカラーで多分慣れてるんですよ。
そう。
これね、難しいよね。
We got used to reading English from games and Game Boy when we were kids and stuff, and Japanese people got used to reading that kind of hiragana font from Pokemon many years ago on the Game Boy. And as I started playing this game for a while, I started to get used to it as well. So there you go. Yeah. Trying to read that kind of stuff. Here, let's bring it up a little bit closer for you guys. Ooh, there we go. I bet reading that right now is a little bit difficult for some of you. There we go. It's not so bad, but when you get into like dialogues, it gets worse. So let's go ahead and talk to this person. Hi. Kya! Bikkuri! Usugurai karatte. I'm trying to read it from the OBS studio. Anyway, yeah, so that is that's how Japanese people got used to reading kanji, hiragana and kanji and stuff with this font from Pokemon many years ago. IPS mod, nice, yes. So anyway, this is the exact same color of Game Boy I had when I was a kid. So I wanted to pick this one up when I found it. Nintendo DS was much easier to read. Yes, it's not so pixelated. Yeah.
任天堂さんね、すごいね。ほんと。ハイテクだね。
Yes, indeed. Ooh, backlit display in the Game Boy Color. Fancy. Yes, IPS mod. Somebody makes them. Well, a lot of people make them here. You can find a bunch on Mercari. Not so expensive either. Not as bad as in the States, I feel like.
なんかさっき私にさ、なんかタイプが早くできるかみたいな質問ができてましたよね。
Can you type fast?
あ、このキーボードでってこと？それともこのフリック？
She's asking, do you mean can she type fast on this kind of keyboard, or do you mean on flick, like on a flick keyboard, like with the 9 characters on a phone?
なんかさ、これフリックじゃないのかな、その言ってるやつってこういう風になってて、ここがんだよねこれ。あ、和だった、ここ和か。
Where's the question?
わかんない。ちょっと上だと思う。
Excuse me. Can we see a video of Yuki typing Japanese text messages on her phone very quickly? I try to use
phone.
hiragana keep. Ah, I see.
フォンだから、
Mm.
多分
She
こ
wants to see. They want a video of it, but let's just show you now. Let's pop up. Send me a message on my phone. Make sure it's
なるほど。
showing up here.
ちょっと
Let me turn on the automatic focus on this camera.
ちょっとあれがちょっと待って。これ何これでいいのかな、このコメントが見えちゃってるやつでいいかな。いい？あ、
Let me hold on. I have to turn on the autofocus for this camera. Okay. Now
ちょっと待って。
we don't have to worry about.
Just in case のためにこれに
So
した。
she's gonna start writing. Let's zoom it out a little bit. You can put it down. Down a little bit more. Good.
こ
Okay.
こ？
So she's gonna write a message very fast for you guys.
こんにちは。元気ですか？
Keep going, keep going.
小さすぎ字が。
It doesn't matter.
こちらは、あ、間違えた。こちらは、まだまだ暑いです。ニュージャージーは寒くなりましたか？
All right, that was her fast writing on a flick keyboard.
爆発してる人がいるよ。
So no, mind blown.
なんかメッセージ書いてほしい。何？
Is there anything you'd like her to write?
メッセージ書いてほしい。
Is there something you'd like her to write? So while we're waiting for you guys to see if there's any messages you'd like her to write, let's see if I can do the same message. How slow I am. So can you put it right there?
はい。
こんにちは。こんにたわ。ちは。My hands are a little bit sweaty. 元気ですか？こちらはまだまだ暑いです。ニュージャージ、got it? は寒くなりましたか？なんか、I won't write that. So there's hope for you guys too. You can do it fast. She's obviously way faster than me in Fluid, but I think what our point should be here is that it's actually way easier to type with Flick than it is with Romaji when you get used to it. I'm sticking with my QWERTY Japanese mobile keyboard. Yeah, it's fine. You can use Romaji on a phone too. There's still plenty of Japanese people who do that. Microphone feature is good. That's good practice too. So when is the video on how to install the Flick keyboard? That's a good video idea. Is it not just included on whatchamacallit? As standard on phones nowadays, I thought. So someone was mentioning how Pokemon Black was the first game in Pokemon to use kanji. I believe I have that one. There it is. The first game to use kanji. Let's see how kanji looked on the very first game. White and black were the same series.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunately, both Yuki and I are not left-handed. So it's not, I don't know if I have any good tips on how to write left-handed for those strokes that are difficult. I'm curious which strokes are difficult. I imagine left to right strokes are probably a little difficult. Maybe you poke into the paper. So yeah, there's kanji. I have my game here set up with kanji. But as you can see, it's not so difficult to read the kanji on these as the old Pokemon games. I'm trying to get that in there for you. So there's Saisho kara hajimeru. Fushigi. Not all of the words are in kanji, obviously, just sort of kanji that maybe elementary school students are expected to know. Although Zukan there is a pretty complicated kanji. Right next to the 6 to the left. The kan there, in Zukan, is a bit difficult to see. But if you jump into the game, I'm having a hard time keeping that centered. Oh, there's autumn. And the bigger words, obviously, they're not so difficult to see. Let's see if I can find someone quick to talk to. Oh, but in conversation, it's still a lot of hiragana. But as you can see, more so than in the last game, it's much easier to read now on the DS
本当だよ
than it was
ね
on the Game Boy Color. Much easier to read. I'm surprised there was no kanji in that dialogue, though. Oh, there's one kanji. So let's see how that is.
うんうんうんうん
Yeah, that's not so bad. That's pretty readable. Unfortunately, there's no furigana in these games. So you either pick just hiragana and katakana or you pick kanji. But the kanji that is used is fairly low level. So like if you finish, for example, the deck that we're going to be taking you through, if you finish that and like the next one, you'll probably have no problem.
うん今の学ぶっていう学校の学っていう
Is
字
one of
は
the ones that we
そう
learn.
そうそう N5 だから出てくるねそして私はレフトハンドで書いた方がいいですか何か
You have to hit the globe icon on iPhone and keyboard settings and add other languages. It gets to be a mess when you have 3 to 4 different languages on there. And my keyboard switches all the time. Yes. I delete all the ones that I don't need. Like for Japanese, I deleted the Romaji keyboard because it was so annoying when I wanted to switch to English, but then it started converting to Japanese. So I only have English and the flick one. Have you gotten this shiny Haxorus for completing your Pokedex yet? No, I've never completed a Pokedex. Speaking of Pokedex, the new Pokemon on this is going to be the easiest characters to read at all because the easiest characters to read because there's furigana and obviously it's a much better screen. I didn't see flick keyboard as an option, though I'll have to double check. I believe if you go into the keyboard settings, let's see. We'll just go to settings. Where are my settings? There they are. Whoop. And we go down to keyboards かな
そっかそうだねキーボードがあるね
Probably in general, eh? So general, keyboard, and then kana, smart full width space. Keyboards are right here. And then Japanese kana. So the name of it is Japanese kana, not flick. That's probably where you might be getting messed up. So I just have English, Japan, Japanese kana, and emoji. So if you go to add a new keyboard, just look for, oops, wonderful. I still have to say the ABCs to get the order. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K. But I already have it installed, so it doesn't even pop up here. Oh, you might have to go down to Nihongo. Nope, it's already installed, so it'll be in that list. I'm pretty sure. You don't have to do anything special. Have I been behind on this? Way behind on the stream? It's possible. I don't know.
かなのキーボードを入れるとなんかオートマティカリーフリックじゃないその選択がさ
でもそれはなくても大丈夫ですよ。
そうなんだ。
その設定はなくても使える。俺はそれオフしてるのに、あんまりわかんないその設定。Japanese kana は今のキーボードが出てくるんですよ。Yeah, so that's probably why you're looking for flick, but it's just called Japanese kana. I just beat Violet today in Japanese, 20 hours total. Nice. Felt really slow compared to what I could have done in English. We spent 75 hours in the game, and we never finished it. Because we just were trading Pokemon the whole time. Guys, if you tap the kana on the flick keyboard, it cycles through them. If you tap the kana... yeah. I think you can turn that off. I think that setting that was on the let's pop that up again. So I think that this setting down here, flick only, I think if you have that off and you go to typing, you can just do this and it cycles through them like an old flip phone, right? Now, I don't do that. I just go like this and switch over na, ne, no. And I just type like that and choose these things like that. But if you turn that flick only on, I'm guessing you can't do that. Got it? Yeah. So if flick is on, you can't scroll through them. It just goes like that. So you have to do flick.
なるほど。
So that's what that setting is. Do I just maybe I just clip this video and make that into the how to choose the flick keyboard?
でもフリックね、最初超難しかったけど、私も結構練習しました。
Honto?
うん。
There's a bunch of games on the App Store for practicing flick that you can get like points, and you try and type it as fast as something pops up on screen. So that's how I learned to use flick really fast. Is I downloaded a game like 10 years ago off the App Store that taught you flick. So just search for I think it's just Japanese flick or something, and it will teach you. Yep, like the old Nokia buttons on an old Nokia phone. I have 999 hours logged in each of my X and Y games. Woo! That's the highest it will count. That's awesome.
わあ、頑張ってるね。
Now I need to find a mini game to practice using the flick keyboard. Mavis Beacon's flicking tutor. Mavis Beacon. That is natsukashi. All right. On Gboard, you just tap on the gear icon in keyboard and you can find the language pick options. In Gboard, kana is called 12 key. I confused it as 10 key before. Ah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there's 12 keys.
12 キーズ。
12個。12
ボックスがあった。
ボックスがあるんじゃない？
あ、そうなんだ。今12個ボックスがあるんだ。数えたことはなかったんですけど。
ね。9, 12.
本当だ。
12. Someone just said long press the button. Oh, okay. So
So
if you long press it, it pops up all the things you need. No,
Ne.
ni, na, nu. But you get used to it because you just think of it as a, I, u, e, o. So a, I, u, e, o. So if you think the kana that sounds like a is in the middle, and then I, u, e, o, I, u, e, o. In English, it's the same in Japanese. A, I, u, e, o. So you just go around, left to right, just like with kanji, left to right, and then you finish in the bottom, and that's for every single one. So this is na, ni, nu, ne, no, ma, mi, mu, me, mo, and you just go left to right to get the a, I, u, e, o sound. So if you think of it that way, you'll be perfect in no time, especially if you use a flick game.
ね。
Mavis Beacon teaches flicking. Demonetized.
何
Indeed.
Mavis
Mavis Beacon was
って
an old
ゲームでしょ？
bring up the desktop. Beacon teaches typing. So let's bring this over here. Mavis Beacon teaches typing. There she is, Miss Mavis Beacon. She was my teacher for many years.
そうなんだ。
You can get it. You can download it. Free download for Windows. Mavis Beacon free.
何
There she is.
何できるの？
タイピングを教えてくれるんだよ。
へえ。
I can't get that to show up nice. But anyway.
この人がみんなの先生？
So this is everyone's teacher for learning to type. Probably like 20 years ago. I still like doing typing tests from time to time. But Hey Yuki and Andy, I just started learning Japanese about a month ago, and I'm so glad I came across your channel early in my Japanese journey. Your old streams on grammar have been a huge help. I'm so happy to hear it. I want to redo something like that again one of these days, new grammar stuff, just because the quality of our setup has improved, our knowledge has improved. Yuki's more involved now, so we could get native pronunciation for all the videos instead of my, subpar
はい。
Japanese.
私がアシスタントラングエッジティーチャーです。
So. She's the ALT. doesn't seem right. Something seems off there. Oh no, I guess that order is correct if you go by the Japanese system.
はい。
90s kids unite. I think Japanese schools basically don't teach typing. No, I think they do. Yuki learned to learn kana typing when Windows first came out in Japan in elementary school. But then they switched to Romaji as standard.
うんうん。
And at least at the high school I used to teach at a long time ago, not that long ago, a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure they had a typing class, but maybe that depends on the school. Feel lucky to be around to watch your kanji 1 videos just as I've started grappling with that aspect of the language. You're a gem. Also love the matching blue shirts. Yeah, someone said, I think it was just learn. I can't remember the username. Someone was saying last week we were both green. They're like, if you're not matching colors next week, we're going to be so disappointed. So last week we didn't plan it. We just ended up both green. This week, we may have planned it a little bit. Possibly grammar videos that don't rely on Genki. Oh yeah. So when we get this kanji series sort of nice and ahead, like when we're ahead a few weeks at least, I'll probably go back and start slowly but surely redoing all of the grammar stuff
はい
with our own branding, just to move away from Genki.
ね。そう、私はもうみんなをディサポイントさせないと誓いました。
Alright, she's sworn to not disappoint everyone, I guess. I don't know. That should be fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And another thing I want to work on this year-ish is our own vocabulary decks to move away from the Genki vocabulary, because a lot of the Genki vocabulary is not super useful for most of you.
そう、なんかさ、元気にさ、全然出てこないのに、めっちゃ使うやつあるじゃないですか。
So there's ones she just said, there's ones that don't show up in Genki that are super, super common and really should be part of that. There's also lots of words in there that are only useful to college students who are currently studying in Japan.
で、なんかさ、グラマーセクションでカバーしてるくせに、なんか、example sentence がないやつ。
Yeah, and then there's ones where like, even though they cover a certain grammar point, there's no good example sentences, and I don't know.
ちょっと生徒に期待しすぎだよね。
Yeah.
生徒に期待を持ってるよね。
Yeah, they leave it up to students too much. I think it's mostly that they're leaving it up to the teachers. So they don't expect anyone to be using them on their own, but like probably half the users of Genki are doing it on their own, so we want to redo all that aimed at a person who is learning by themselves. So we'll get there. Hang in with us. But thank you.
なんか、Your average neighborhood pyro.
Your average neighborhood psyops. You can also type a couple of absolute kanas too. Ui. Okay.
それさ、出ないくない？出るかな？パソコンだと出るかな？
It might pop up in the, let's get my face. It'll probably show up on a computer. Let's see. Overhead.
この和ゆえおの部分しかないと思うけど。
い、小さい。
いや、それついだよ。
そうか。Oops, I'm not looking at my keyboard. So. She's mad at me because I put su instead of u. She's very strict.
そう、そこはね、厳しくいきますから。本当だ。
Oh, there it is.
いが出てくるね。でもフリックでは出ないよね。和ゆえおで出る？やゆよか和ゆえおで出るこれ。これフリックで出る？
どうやって？出ないでしょ。
出ないね。わ。こっちのわ。
No, it doesn't.
ちょ。
I'm trying. It does not. ないでしょ？
わからわだよ、ここ。
その場ね。
ないね。
ないね。
No,
you'd have to actually type it in.
ない。
All right. Sounds good, Tara. All right, guys. Well, I think we are going to call it a day.
はい。
And let me just bring back up that next week's lesson will likely be one day later than normal. So usually we do these on Thursday morning our time. Right now it's probably Wednesday evening for most of you. But it's going to be the next day. So for us, Friday morning, and for you guys, Thursday evening. Because we're going to be traveling. So we'll be streaming from not here. We'll be streaming from a different location on our trusty laptop. So the video quality will be a little down, but we'll try and make the live stream as good as ever. So the release next week will be one day late. As a beginner, how do I make sure I'm getting a good balance of kanji, vocab, and grammar inputs? Don't want to do the verbal equivalent of skipping leg day in one category or another. You'll catch up regardless. So I don't know. Like, I personally did an hour of kanji a day and then an hour of everything else. I spent a lot of extra effort on kanji, and I didn't regret it. I didn't find it an issue because kanji is probably the toughest part of Japanese. So yeah, like half of your time with kanji and half of your time with everything else is probably enough. And then eventually you'll get into like immersion stuff where you're just reading and watching stuff, and then it won't matter anymore.
スキッピングレグデーはどのぐらいに頻度なんですか？それってどのぐらいの頻度のことを言ってるんですか？ち
ょっとミーム的に使ってるから、 めっちゃでかいお兄さんがいるのに足がめっちゃ細い
うん
っていうミーム
でしょ
にならないように
うん
したいってことね。
でもそのためにはさ、どのぐらいレグデーをさ、
全くしないっていうその同じにしちゃいけないかな。
あ、なるほ
た
ど、ね。
だミーム言ってるだけだか
あわ
ら。
かりました
そうそう。
あ、わかりました。
But as long
私、レグデーしかやらない派だから。
all she does is leg day, so she's the opposite.
逆
All right. If we're also in the US, then it should be Friday for us. No, it'll be Thursday. We'll be doing it Thursday night. So that's what I was trying to explain. So it'll be Thursday night for wherever. If it's Wednesday night for you now, the live stream will be on Thursday night. So that's all I should have said.
はい。だからね、みんなと同じタイムゾーンのはずです。
So. But it'll be nighttime for us too, because we'll be in the States.
うん。
All right. All right, guys. Well, have a great week. Thank you for hanging out today.
はい。
And we'll see you in the next one. The next one is going to be all about the positions of official radicals.
ねえ、ちょっとこのチップは本当にいるかな。
We might not need the board next week. We're going to have it. But the next week, lesson 1, will also be in America still. But we're going to be able to still do the overhead shot, I believe. That one we will definitely need the overhead shot. But
大
anyway.
丈夫だよ。持ってくからね、みんな。やるよ、これは。
So I won't be doing Tobita lessons because 2 reasons. One is they cover all the exact same stuff as Genki. So really it would just be a reordering of things I've already done. But more importantly is the Tobita company. They basically had a guy do exactly almost, I'm not accusing here. Not like anything like that, but almost exactly what I did for the Genki lessons. They had a guy do, just a guy like me, do for the Tobita lessons. So that's not a problem. What the problem is if I went and did it for free on YouTube, I feel like I'm very likely to get attacked for that. Copyright strikes, takedown notices, stuff like that, because they did it. And I'm willing to bet that they looked at my Genki lessons and then did that for their own stuff, just because they saw that it did okay. So if you have the Tobita book, there's a link in the back to basically what I did, but just to someone else. So I will not be doing Tobita lessons for various reasons. That's one of them. So can't take that chance. But also I'd rather just have my own thing and be able to do it in the order that I think would be most useful, as opposed to what textbook companies think would be most useful. So that's that. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great week. And we'll see you next time.
ありがとうございます、皆さん。
ありがとうございました。また次のビデオで。
そう。
せーの。また次のビデオで会いましょうね。はい、see you later, guys. バイバイ。
また来週お願いします。